Trust the process. Pain is power. All great things take time. I am unbreakable. Unbreakable.
Hello everyone, welcome to the UnBreakables Podcast, episode 4. I am your host, Jay Murga, and this is my brother and my co-host, Gift the Poet.
What an honor it is to introduce our next guest, the owner of No Limits Sports and Fitness Academy here in Signal Hill, California. Her facility is where the Unbreakables shoot our podcast, so without her, none of this could happen. She's a certified life coach, a USA cycling coach specializing in everything from Pilates, yoga, Bosu Training, Power Flex training, kettlebell training, and the list goes on. She's a lifelong athlete who has competed in a vast number of sports, including track and field, soccer, Spartan Racing, cross country, so on and so forth. Without further ado, allow me to introduce UC Berkeley alumni herself, Alisha Lopez.
Thanks, guys. Honored to be here.
No, honestly, greatness, first and foremost, we just want to say thank you. And not only for, being on the show, but for even giving us an opportunity to have our podcast here. And I told you before, before this even came into existence, it was a thought. Mm-hmm. It was a thought, and the universe answered through you, used you, and I couldn't have picked a better place.
Oh, thank you so much.
And we're grateful for you in every way, and for you to even take the time, we greatly appreciate it.
Awesome, thank you.
So greatness, we just listed all of these amazing things that you've done, but we want to know where it all started. So if you can, for the viewers at home, can you give us an insight on your story of where it all started?
Oh, wow. So, first and foremost, I just want to say to all your viewers, these guys are incredible. Spending more time with them, I've met Jessica first and then her brother, and we went to go see E.T., yeah?
Yeah, Eric Thomas.
Eric Thomas, right? And we connected on a deep level, and I have mad respect for them. And so it is a blessing. I've always prayed that this building would be used for something great, and bringing you guys onto the team and adding this, opportunity for you guys and other people. It just says that's the thing about this building. Yeah. It's going to continue to serve people. And so not only has this building served you in this capacity, you are now going to impact other people's lives. And that's a huge blessing for all of us, because at the end of the day, it's all about service, how Absolutely. We can serve others. So, wow. My story, it's a beautiful story. And for the simple fact that I'll start, growing up, I was an athlete my whole life. I started playing soccer. Actually, I started in baseball first. My parents put me in baseball, but I ended up playing soccer, gymnastics. I ran a lot. And so from a young age, I think I started about 4 playing in multiple sports. And growing up, I played AYSO, like I said, ran, but I really gravitated to soccer. And so let's fast forward until junior high, again, still running cross country, playing basketball, playing soccer. I think my folks realized I had a talent, and I think even myself at a young age that I had a gift for in athletics, and so I believe even now as an adult that we all have gifts and talents. And at a young age, I was lucky enough to realize I had a gift.
And to recognize it.
Yeah, to realize that. And so, like I said, long story short, I was in middle school, and my parents realized that. Here I am in 8th grade getting ready to go to high school. I was living in Downey at the time, and we lived with my grandmother. It's really awesome that I have a big family, but we were always around the family and my grandmother. So there was always a number of people living within our home. So I think at that time, I want to say, let's say 11
11 years old?
No, it was 11 people.
11 people. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Full house.
Yeah, so full house. So it was my grandma's house. It was my grandma, my aunt and uncle and their kids, and then us in the back. So I've always grown up around my cousins and that. And but I think what my folks realized is that they didn't have the means to put me in sports, because predominantly soccer, that was my sport I wanted to excel in. You know now, like I train kids now, the amount of money their parents are putting down for their kids to play club soccer is ridiculous.
So it's an investment, right?
Oh, it's, yeah. And it's like, let's say on the low end, maybe about $3,000.
Wow.
So
Holy cow.
back then I never played club soccer, and in order to get recognized and to get in Olympic development programs like that, you had to be in like club. Well, I only played ASO. That's all they could afford. And so I believe my parents realized that they didn't have the resources to invest in me, because they believed I had something. Like I said, they wanted to help that gift grow. And so at 13, my parents made a decision to send me to live with my mom's oldest sister. So my Nina, she was my Nina. So I spent a lot of time with her during the summer. So she gave, I don't even recall the conversation of her asking me. and to this day, it's really interesting. Like, I'll talk to my mom about it, and it hurts her still, because I think now as a mom, I have children, 2 boys. I don't know if I could give them up.
So she gave you up in a sense just for the summer, or
To go live. So to live,
Oh, wow.
to go to high school.
Gotcha. So your godmother pretty much fulfilled what she needed to do as a godmother.
Correct.
Take care of you at that time.
Take care of me, yeah.
So you were 13 at that time?
I believe so, yeah.
so how did you feel at that moment
Oh, sad.
when she told you that you were gonna live with your godmother?
Sad. Here's where I get sappy. I remember in the car, because I have 2 brothers and a sister, and so I remember just my little brother was probably he was just born, maybe under years old, and I remember was just so excited to have a little brother, my sister, but having to say goodbye to my family, just driving away. I was very strong, didn't cry until I got in the car, and I was just like looking out the window crying. And
But you didn't understand it though. Like, how can you process that at that age?
A little bit. I knew why I was being sent away, because my Nina, she had good resources.
Mm-hmm.
She had my cousin who's older, 4 years older. So, she is a businesswoman. She's much different than my mom. My mom's a loving, generous, sweet, kind. Her sister is stern, and she knew she'd be hard on me and get me. The ultimate goal was to get me into college. And so that was their dream and goal for me. And I didn't know at the time, but I just wanted to play soccer. And eventually, yeah, if I got into college to play soccer, fantastic. So, in reality, as a mom now, it's like my mom gave me up because she saw potential in me. And that, like, man, I give it to her.
So it was kind of like a sacrifice in a way, right?
Oh, yeah, for all of us. But as a mom, man, I can see that must have been a gut-wrenching decision for her.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it had to be, I guess you can say, selfless.
Very.
Looking at from her perspective. But kind of understanding your point, being so young,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, how were you able to bounce back from that? And understand, okay, this was for you,
Sure.
for you to play soccer without building any resentment
Mm-hmm.
towards your mom, and to think the worst, oh, she doesn't want me, or
Sure, yeah.
she has a new family now.
Yeah.
And so how did you steer those thoughts away from intervening?
Honestly, I never thought that she didn't want me. I guess I love soccer that much.
You just wanted to play.
I just wanted to play. And I remember being passed over, or I couldn't travel. Like, some of the people I knew that were in soccer could go to Hawaii for tournaments and that, and we couldn't afford going to Hawaii. And I was a good player, and I got passed up because oftentimes my parents couldn't pay for stuff.
Financially, right?
Yeah, financially. So to me, I was going to play soccer, so I was happy,
That's good.
And so I didn't look at it like that. And I love my Nina also. She was, it was just different, But I knew she would take care of me. She would love me. But it'd be in a different way than my mom.
Of course.
Yeah, so I guess, I was happy at one point, but still sad because I had to leave my family. I moved to the Bay Area. So it's like I'd go through a whole school year and maybe see him once.
Yeah,
during the summer.
Although Downey isn't too far from the Bay Area, it's still a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean, the scene itself is way different.
Way different, yeah. And so, again, I couldn't. They don't have funds. I can't be like flying back and forth to see my parents. So, literally, I'd see them like Christmas and then during the summertime.
Major holidays.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So you moved to your Nina's house. You continued to play soccer, and then what happened after that?
Yeah, so in high school, I had a very successful career. I was a great runner. I ran cross country, ran track, made it to CIF, made it all state.
Wow. That's awesome.
And, I competed at a high level. And then I played soccer. The crazy thing, or ironic thing, is that the school I went to, they didn't have a female soccer team. So I ended up playing on the guys' team.
What?
So I ended up playing on the guys' team, yeah. I played on the guys' team, and I just love soccer so much that I'd watch it on TV. I'd practice it any opportunity. And I actually got MVP on the boys' team because I was pretty good.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was, I love competition. And so, and the coach was really cool. He was like, you know what, come play for me. And I played center mid. So to play center mid on soccer is a huge role. You have to distribute the ball. And so he put me in center mid because I have an
eye for it, right?
An eye for the field and an eye for catching the defense off and be able to feed my forwards. And so I always played the top, and we had another mid behind. But yeah, it was a pretty cool position to be in.
That's a good experience.
Yeah, for sure. It was, because guys would come after me hard, and they would, and I was small. I was probably about 115. I was tiny, but I would get up, I get hit and get back up, and just, so they had respect, for me. And the guys were super cool. They took care of me, I remember they get in fights or push on guys if they came in too hard at me. But yeah, it was a great experience. And so I did well in soccer. But the thing is, since our team wasn't that great, you're not getting recruited.
You're like, I was great, my team wasn't great.
Yeah, it was just good times. But so yeah, and then I remember they started a girls team, but we were horrible. So we weren't. There's no way I could get recruited in soccer because no one's coming to watch our games, right? But I was a great runner.
So what led you to UC Berkeley? How did that happen?
So what ended up happening? So I was being recruited as a runner. And so in cross country and track. And so I got a ton of letters to be recruited all over the United States to different schools. I remember just having piles of letters. I didn't even know what that meant.
She had options.
How did your mom react to this? Because that
was the original goal, right?
Yeah.
Was to set you up for college. But UC Berkeley, out of all the schools, she had to be very proud.
Catch. Yeah. There's a catch, though. So I think my parents, no one in my family had ever gone to college. Wow. So I don't even think they understood the extent. And I'm just thinking, man, I just got a bunch of mail. What the heck am I supposed to do with it? I'd read it, and I'm like, okay, and it was just crazy. But long story short, what ended up happening is that I wanted to come back home. I missed my family so much that I decided to take a full ride to Cal State LA, a running scholarship. They didn't have soccer, though. So what? I got recruited fully to run cross country and track and field. So I moved from the Bay Area back home here to Long Beach, and I didn't stay. I did stay in the housing over there at Cal State LA, and I ended up running. It was a different experience, running college, because these girls were fast. Cross country. One of my teammates were from Ethiopia, the other one from Bolivia. And these girls, I'm like, holy smokes, they can run.
They outsmoked you.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah. And it was really interesting because to be a cross-country runner, you have to be thin. You have to be skinny. And we'd get weighed. And, when you're your first year in college and the food is free.
You just keep eating and take advantage of the system.
Girl, and they had Little Caesars. Oh, my gosh. I used to eat it, even though we weren't supposed to, because we'd get weighed. And I remember my coach saying, "You're you weigh too much." I'm like, I don't know why, So free food, oh my gosh, it was heaven. I was like, this is awesome. You mean I can go eat whenever I want to? It was pretty awesome. So yeah, I ended up there. But in my heart, even though I was a great runner, I had a talent. I was a great runner. It's just nuts. But I didn't love it.
You weren't passionate about it.
Oh, heck no.
So at the end of the day, you were still passionate about soccer.
Passionate about soccer. And I remember at the track there, they had a nice track, and in the middle was a soccer field. And at that time, Cal CLA only had a men's team. And I'm like, man, I'm going to go try out for that team. Like, I'm just every day running the track, just seeing these guys practice. I'm like, I'm so sad. The ball, you know,
on
ball,
the sideline,
yeah, the ball would go. They'd kick a ball out, and I'd run and like be able to kick it back. Like, so yeah, it was really a sad time. I'm like, God, I do not like what I'm doing. I just good people here, but I just like what I'm doing. And so I remember just as the season wind down, and we in our track season we end up winning like a title. And on the team that I was on in one of the relays. And so we did really well. But I remember just thinking, because at the time I didn't have no mentors. I didn't have anybody to tell me, like, okay, if you're not happy, like, here's what you should do. You should really pursue your passion.
Right.
And this is why I have, it's a driving force in me to help young ones now. Because I so wish I had a mentor to say, like, look, you do have a talent. And someone to say, like, you know, whatever decision you'll make, you'll be okay. And so I just something in me said, like, you know what, I don't want to be here anymore. And so I talked to my parents first. I said, Mom, Dad, I'm giving up my scholarship. I don't want to run no more. I want to play soccer. And they kind of looked at me like, no, don't do that. Like, that's like a bad decision. Like, your whole education is paid for. It's free. Like,
Holy cow,
where are you going to play soccer? And honestly, I didn't even have a plan. I just know I wanted to play soccer.
You were just following your intuition at that point.
Yeah. And the thing about me is that with everything I experienced in my life, I just never gave up. I just believed in myself. And I just knew that I would make it. No matter how bad or sad the days were, or I feel like I wouldn't make the right decision, I somehow made. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm a very spiritual person, so I believe I'm blessed in a way where God watches after me, man.
So you had a strong faith, no matter what.
Strong faith. Like, it's crazy. If you look at my life, all the doors of opportunity that have opened, those are blessings.
Absolutely.
That's not just coincidence. That's not just...
But Alisha, that's also because of your outlook on life.
True.
Your perspective on everything. You're a very positive person. So when you see those opportunities, you take them.
Absolutely.
And you attract positivity, even in times of struggle.
Thank you. Yes.
I mean, it's one of those things you put out to the universe what you want, and I'm sure over time you were able to develop that.
Yes.
And that's good. I mean, at a young age you were able to recognize it. So going back, you ended up dropping out.
So yeah, I told my parents, and at the end of the day, they kind of said, we support you. But I was going to do it anyways. So I remember I had a Volkswagen Beetle. I packed everything in, and I told my coach I needed to have a conversation with him. And I told him, look, I'm giving up my scholarship. I don't want to run anymore. I want to go play soccer.
Wow.
And I remember he was angry. And he said, you are wasting your talent. You're going to regret this decision. And I'm like, okay, but I still can't run. I don't want to run. So long story short, he made it difficult. He came to my parents' house, and I remember kind of hiding. I'm like, oh my gosh, my coach is here, Mom. Like, tell him I don't want to run. I don't want to do it anymore. Because when you sign a letter of intent, you are committed to that school. So at the long story short, what he said to my parents was that, he wasn't going to let me out of my contract. And so, and then I didn't know what to do. I was just like, God, I don't want to be there, though. Why does he want me if I don't want to be there?
If you don't want to be there, yeah.
And I started saying all these things like, I'm just going to run bad. I'm going to do this. And I'm like, you know what? That's just dumb. And somehow, like, in my little brain, I said, you need to talk to a counselor. And I talked to a counselor, and they advised me that, I can give up my scholarship, but I'd have to go play at a junior college. For 1 year, so I don't lose, eligibility.
Okay.
And so, like I said, he was angry at me, but I went with my gut and just said, you know what, I know I can make it, I can do it, I can play soccer. So I ended up at Long Beach City for a year. I ran cross country. I still went back to running. I have a passion for running even now. I love it because it's fun.
Because it's fun.
It's
fun. But do you think because it was out of
job.
Obligation, that's where you're like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And running is a solo sport.
Yeah.
You know,
I can see that.
It's you against you.
It's you against. And I love to run because you can meditate, and even like push myself in running, but it became so much like a job.
Mm-hmm.
So
You fell out of love with it.
you can't love it if it's like a job.
Yeah.
Now soccer, if I'm doing it every single day, it doesn't matter. I love it, right? But running became like a job, so
Yeah.
I hated it. And I would say, but everybody say you're such a great runner, but I don't like it. You know?
So when you were at Long Beach City, you still hated it?
No, I actually found joy in it there.
You found some joy
Yeah.
because the pressure was taken
The
off?
pressure, the pressure wasn't there, you know. And I did it for fun because it was fun again, you know. And the coaches were super cool, supportive, and the teammates, and it's you have all, you know. It was just a good vibe, and so I actually fell in love with it again. And
awesome.
but then I started getting recruited again for running, and I don't want to
You're
run.
like, no.
I just left the school. I don't want to run no more. But the good thing is that, you know, they had a women's team at at Long Beach City. I played on the women's team. But another thing is that, you know, I realize, you know, an opportunity to train with the guys again. So I always like to hang around with, you know, in sports, I've always looked for people to train with that are better than me, whether it be running or soccer.
Mm-hmm.
So I started playing with the men's team. I went to the coach like, hey, I love soccer. Can I get in extra training? And he was an English coach and awesome guy. And he was knowledgeable. I'm like, I just want to learn from you. And plus, Long Beach City, the cool thing about Long Beach is that it's like the hub of like Latinos or just people from different cultures that are playing.
Cambodians,
Yes.
everything. Yeah,
So the team was like
Very
just
diverse, right?
very diverse. And so these guys were just like, I'm like, I want to play with them. And so, you know, I remember I would do the women's training, then I'd go do the men's training. And I was just always hanging out with the men's team. And I got an opportunity where the men's team got to work at the World Cup.
Oh, wow.
And the coach was really generous to ask me if I wanted to be part of it. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, of course,
like, hell yeah.
That's something I would love to do. And so I remember working at the World Cup, and if you've never been to a World Cup,
Never.
you need to go to a World Cup. It is.
Everyone out there, if you like the World Cup, hit like on that video and subscribe right now.
Yeah, because you think you've watched a World Cup, or I mean like a World Series or Super Bowl.
But when you're actually there, right?
Yeah. No, but soccer is, like you said, you have every country in the world at this event. And it was Pasadena. What's it? The Rose Bowl?
Oh, the Rose Bowl, yes.
So it's even though it looks big, it's tiny. And man, people bring instruments and it is just a fun vibe. And so I worked that, and I remember watching. We snuck in. Yeah, we snuck into the last game. It was Brazil and Italy, and we were supposed to be working like the sidelines, but we like snuck up to the seats and sat down and watched the whole game. And you know, with my best friend that I met through soccer there, and so I think what the coach realized is that I had a great work ethic. And so, you know, I'd always be practicing, and even after I was done with the guys training, I'd still practice. And another opportunity opened up. And so the men's soccer coach, Coach Finetti, coached the coach from UC Berkeley.
Oh, wow.
That was one of his players. And I guess I didn't even know this, but he reached out to him.
Oh, wow.
And said, look, I have a player here I want you to take a look at. Well, at that time, recruiting is pretty much over, you know, like, let me back up before that. I got to go back because I made a really dumb mistake. So as
What'd you do?
What'd I do? So I feel like I'm rambling on, but so when I was playing on the women's team, I had an opportunity also to be recruited by UCLA.
Ooh,
And
that would have
so-
been good.
Yeah. So I had an opportunity to be recruited by UCLA, and the coach, who at the time she played on the national team, or did play on the national team, Joy Fawcett, had come at the request of the women's assistant coach to come watch me play.
Oh, wow.
And so she put in a good word that, you know, I'm a good player, solid player, and that I would go play there, hopefully. And so she came to watch me play. And again, I'm a center mid, so you get roughed up a lot. And in this game, I was getting roughed up a lot, and the ref wasn't calling anything. And number one rule in any sport or any soccer, don't talk back to the ref.
Yeah,
Don't talk back. It's just lame.
Yeah.
I realize that now. And after that mistake is one of the biggest lessons in my life. So I've been playing dirty. And in a game, if you're good, you will be marked, and they will play you dirty. And that was the case. I was being playing dirty. And got taken out one time, and I was just like, all right.
So it kind of like ruined your chances, you would say, from that recruit?
Well, big time, because another play happened. I got taken out, and I jumped up, and I just socked the girl in the face.
Oh, shit. No
Yeah.
way.
I socked her in the face, hit her hard, and I was so upset. Like, just my anger took over. And I remember just walking off the field like, wow, that was stupid.
Like, what did you do?
Like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even, I was so ashamed after everything happened, like that moment of anger. I walked off with my head down because, like, I just knew, like, not only did I ruin, like, the reputation of my coach that referred me, but here this was a national team player.
Wow.
And to just waste her time for me to do something like that, like, but I was a young kid, just dumb. And yeah, I just remember, like, to me as a player, I was a very respectful player. Like, I didn't play dirty. A lot of players now, you see it, they grab a lot, they grab shirts. They're taught to play dirty because they have no skill.
Oof.
You know? And for me, like, to me, that's like a no-no against the craft, you know,
Right.
the skill. Like, you don't, if you're good at defending,
You don't need to do that.
You don't have to do that.
Of course
Yeah.
not.
But they do it. So, and I'm like, man, that was the dumbest thing I've ever done. And I just remember my parents just, like, everybody in shock. And I didn't even know what to say to the coach. You know, I just apologized, and I remember just still walking away. And because you have to get off the field.
Right,
you got to
right.
just leave the field. You can't even be there. So, yeah, that was that was a time in my life where I just felt like, wow, I let a lot of people down, and I kind of disgraced myself, you know, as
But
a
it was
player.
a lesson learned for you, right?
Whew, yeah. I remember, even to this day, I remember that lesson.
So how did
know.
you bounce back from that?
Well, it was interesting. I remember talking to the coach, like the men's coach, and he's just like, you know what happens, you know, shake it off. And he was very cool. Like he wasn't mad at me. He just said, understand this is a lesson to be learned. Like, you're too good of a player to allow them to get in your head, because that's what you're going to do. When you're a good player, they get in your mind. And that's even in life now.
Yeah.
You'll have people that are haters. You'll have people that are will talk bad of you or just, you know, try to get you out of, like I say, your greatness. And you got to be able to
Push it away.
just let it go.
Like,
Yeah.
don't let it
They
affect
don't
you.
exist. I mean, at the end of the day, it's concealed admiration. They admire you so much that it turns into hate.
It turns into hate, yeah. And so, like, I wish, you know, I just, yeah. So, big mistake. And so but the thing is that he believed in me, and thank goodness he believed in me to put that word out.
Wow.
Because I wasn't even, most times when you get recruited to a big school like UC Berkeley, UCLA, USC, they have to watch you play. He didn't see me play. He
That's
took me up
amazing.
there on a recruit trip to UC Berkeley, and it was interesting. I remember we had sushi. I met all the team. I never had
So
sushi in my
it
life.
really is.
Sushi
It's
good.
true, like the movies, right? Try
Yeah,
to buddy you up.
yeah, they do.
School.
But I mean, I never had sushi in my life. They're like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "I don't like. What do you eat? Like, you guys eat raw fish?" Like, yeah. I mean, and so, yeah, he didn't even watch me play, but he took the word of his coach as word. Like, and I was able to. I can't say I got a full ride because I had to pay like $1,000 because my housing got messed up.
It's still not bad,
That's
man.
nothing.
I mean, UC
Yeah,
Berkeley,
I
come
know.
on.
Yeah, it's a lot of money to go to that school.
So you
But
ended
still,
up
yeah.
ended up going to UC Berkeley.
Yes.
You ended up playing soccer.
I ended up playing soccer. Got a scholarship to play.
That's amazing.
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason, and so, like, I feel like I'm very blessed, beyond words. The man upstairs is always watching after me.
So through that whole experience, through college, through soccer, how did you find your passion for fitness?
I just knew. So I went to school for psychology, social welfare. And I actually, so to get into Cal, I didn't get in there for my brains.
Let's just make that
Let's just
clear.
make that clear.
Soccer? No. She had the skill.
It was soccer. Because I had horrible SATs. My grades were like, they're okay. But I got in what's called a blue chip. And so those are for like athletes that have potential, that can, they're making an investment in you. And you have to prove to them. Like I had tutors. They were going to make sure I was going to graduate. Because going in there, they're taking a risk on me if I could even handle even the first semester there.
But based off your sport, you had the potential.
I had the opportunity.
You're gifted.
Yes. And a lot of athletes get into schools like that because they have a talent. And that's okay, And the reason it's okay, because someone like me learned to appreciate education. I'd never appreciated education like I did when I went to college because I hated school. I wasn't good at it. I sucked at everything, I think. I don't think
except soccer.
Yeah, except soccer. I was a good athlete, but I was street smart. I was business smart.
Yeah, you
I was
still need
street
that.
smart. I was business smart because even when I was little, I was hustling, always selling something. In high school, I was hustling candy, chips. Like when we were on the bus coming back from like sports activities, I had a big old duffel bag of food because I knew people would be hungry.
Smart.
Yeah. So I would make
saw a problem, found a solution.
I was a candy pimp. Seriously, in high school, everybody knew me for selling candy because now I look back, that wasn't good, but man, I'd make a solid, maybe like, 150, $200 a month.
That's not bad, man.
And for me, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, so even my yearbook, they wrote that, always selling candy, So I always had that entrepreneur spirit, always selling something.
So would you say from that moment is when you knew that you always wanted to be an entrepreneur, or always wanted to have your own business?
I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was, honestly, at that time. I just knew I loved to hustle and sell.
So getting back to UC Berkeley, because you needed to find the balance between the sport, because you're obviously athletic,
yep.
But you said that you were lacking in the brains department. As far as UC Berkeley, it's high curriculum. It's
correct.
So how did you find the balance in that?
Well, I was lucky. Even when I traveled, you'd have a tutor, because when you're traveling season on, you'd leave on like sometimes Wednesday or Thursday, and you'd be gone till Monday. Oh, wow. So I'd have tutors. I'd have to check in with counselors, and they, make sure that my work was, and my writing was horrible. Like you say, you have the gift for writing. That you do. So I'd have people read my work, and they're like, I don't get it. Like I just don't get it. But I remember some of the teachers there, the professors, had a deep appreciation for the subject they're teaching. That I was like, whoa, like. That's impressive, and it got me thinking. And so then I began to read more. I'd love to be in the library. I'd read, but I guess what made me think about like something bigger in life besides soccer, my teammates, a lot of my friends were recruited from San Diego, so they came for money. La Jolla, just all the San Diego area. I mean, these girls had money.
Yeah.
They had everything pretty much handed to them, right?
I think they worked hard, but they just had money. And I remember, like, just thinking, like, I've never been around that. Like, even though we didn't have money, we had a lot of love, but we had that kind of poor mindset. Now that I look back, it was kind of that poor mindset. Meaning, wow, you could have that? Like, because I didn't even know what it was.
Like, it was the potential of what you could have.
It was almost like a lack.
Yeah, because, even in high school, my Nina decided, in my junior year to move back to L.A., so I ended up moving in with my grandmother. And living there were 15 of us living in one house, and it was just crazy awesome. But, we didn't have we had a hoopty, man. We had a lot of love, but we didn't have anything, man. I remember rolling up to school, and I'd duck like this. Right. And my cousin be like, why are you ducking? Are you embarrassed? I'm like, no. I'm like, drop us off like down the street.
On the corner.
You know, yeah. So, but yeah, so when I got in college and I was hanging around like my teammates and I went to their houses in San Diego, I mean, these were mansions. I'm like, whoa, wow. I could
have that?
I could have that.
Yeah.
And not that I'm materialistic, but it just like was cool to see like the stuff they would do and their family would come see them. I mean, my parents, they'd be lucky if they could come out to see a game, you know, to watch me play. So it was always like a gift when they came here. When I came to play here, like UCLA, USC, they'd be all pumped up. Like, we'd have a big stand of Mexicans in the stand, like, just cheering me on, you know?
Yeah.
And I would see, like, the parents from the other girls were there. Like, they'd fly up to go see their daughters play. And I'm just like, so for me, my driving force is, like, how can I get my family to a position where we can do that, you know? So I guess that's
not just once a year, but on a daily
basis. And I guess that's where the entrepreneur spirit, like, kicked in. And so when I was very fortunate, so when you play a sport, you're not supposed to work, or you're not supposed to be in a sorority. You're just supposed to be playing soccer, you know. But I
did the opposite.
I did the opposite. I had a job and I ended up playing like the late night games with all they're called pickup games. I'd be playing with all the guys, you know. And so it was just, when I worked at the rec center, that's when I became, you just pick up towels and clean the equipment. That was my first job.
Oh, there you
but
go.
I took it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you hire me, I'll take it. I'm around equipment. I can clean equipment, whatever. Just give me a job.
You still have that hustling mentality.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I will clean toilets. You know, I have no shame. And so I was excited to have that job. And that's where my dream for just being in this industry of fitness began. And so then I saw people train. I'm like, how do I do that? I want to become a trainer because they make more money. Because I'm just cleaning equipment. How do I make more money?
So you're already thinking that, just in that moment, like, wow.
So yeah, I was just, so it started there, and I worked there until I graduated. And when I graduated college, you know, it was huge. You know, all my family came up to watch me graduate, but I still didn't know what to do. I'm like,
so at what point would you say is when you really had a, like, deep dive into yourself to really find out what you were meant to do in this world? Whether it was from no limits to, like, when did you really find out your why? And find out your true purpose?
Yeah, that waking up point.
Well, you know what? I always knew I was destined for great things. And even my grandmother, she was an amazing woman, strong woman. And she taught me a lot. She used to do a lot of volunteer work with senior citizens and with LULAC. She even worked with the governors and, you know, Jerry Brown. And so back in the days. And so, you know, I learned from her that, and she'd always tell me, there's something special in you. I didn't know what that meant. You know, she just says, one day you're going to talk to the masses.
Oof,
and you're going to be, you're going to speak. And she's a woman of faith. And she says, just believe that you're going to be talking to the masses one day. And I just never know what that meant, you know. But I just knew, like, I just always thought my gift was soccer.
But you never knew anything beyond that point.
But you know what? I always had a heart for helping people. I believe in helping people.
It's beautiful.
It is.
It's very beautiful.
And so I remember doing volunteer work when I was up there at Cal. You know, I'd do a lot of volunteer projects, either feeding the homeless or helping the, you know, like youth programs. So it has always been in me to help. I've done missionary work in Mexico. And so that my soul just knew that I'd always be of service somewhere. And so coming out of college, I ended up coaching. I decided I wanted to coach and become a coach. Nice. So that's where I started my career in coaching athletes.
That's awesome.
And giving back to,
Okay.
And then how did it start to transition into you owning your own business?
And opening up a gym.
I mean, that's a huge accomplishment.
So I ended up, after coaching, I decided that I would sell fitness equipment. I love sales, you know, and I'm pretty good at it. Like, for me, it's like, you know, if I'm passionate about a product, like, you're going to be using that product, you know?
Yeah.
And so I ended up working, I became a spinning instructor. So I ended up getting injured in soccer. So my ultimate goal was to play professional women's soccer, and eventually I would love to play for the national team. It didn't work out. The door kept closing. I went to try out for the national team at a couple camps, and I got injured or something crazy would happen. I'm like, just got defeated. And then I got asked even to try out for the Mexican national team because I'm Mexican, and I end up cramping in that game too. And I'm like, this is just not right.
It's not meant to be.
I was defeated, and because I had knee surgery in college, I had 2 knee surgeries, and I just wasn't the same after the knee surgeries. And finally the doctor said, like, okay, you're going to need a 3rd knee surgery. You just got to give up soccer. And so I went into depression, and because that's all I knew. And so I ended up finding cycling. I ended up becoming a cyclist, and that's how I got into cycling. Yeah.
USA Cycling.
Yeah, USA Cycling. So I became a coach. I began racing. I began to win a lot of races because I'm fast. And so it was just like running a track. I was fast. And so I learned to be fast on the bike, and I'd win races. I won a state championship with one of my teammates on a tandem.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Anyone who cycles out there, comment below. Shout out USA Cycling.
USA
There you
Cycling.
go. She's your girl.
Crit, if you like crit racing, yeah, it's fast. I love crit racing and the velodrome. So, I did that, and then I got into spinning. I just became a spin instructor. Whenever I see people doing something, I'm like, I'm gonna try that.
I want to do it.
I can do that.
Yeah, it seems
I
like
can
you
do
feed
that.
off of passion.
Yeah.
Off of anyone's passion, you just admire that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful because you can go both ways. Some people look at it and they take inspiration from it. Other people look at it and they hate on it.
Yeah.
So it's just one or the other.
For sure, yeah. And so I became a spinning instructor at Bally's right up the street, and my classes would be full, and I was just like, and I was shy, believe it or not.
You're an introvert?
Very much so. I was really shy. Because I just wasn't confident in myself. So, I realized, in college that I was gay. I have always known, but the word, I didn't even know what that was, honestly, until I got in college, and I'm like, what's gay? I'm like, oh crap, I'm gay. Like,
so how did you establish that confidence and that, I guess you can
it took me
say,
a long time.
courage for you to accept the fact that you had to put soccer to rest.
Sure.
2, accept the fact that there was a greater purpose for your life. And 3, accept the fact that you were gay. Those are three major
big
things.
ones,
Those
yeah.
are 3 big things. But for you to actually accept it
Yeah.
and be able to move forward with your life.
Yeah.
Like, what was that driving force? What was that wake up for you?
I was just sad. In hindsight, just looking back, I was sad for most of my life. I didn't want to be me. Like, I hated being me because I grew up in a Christian home. And so when you're raised in a Christian home, and not all Christians are bad, but a lot of them preach like you're going to hell, you're just a horrible person.
Very judgmental.
Very judgmental. So I grew up like hating myself. And I remember when I was like 15, I broke up with my first girlfriend. She said all these ugly things because she wasn't gay. She fell in love with me, the person. And I remember like her, when I went back after, because I was 1 year away in college, and I went back to see her after that summer, like, oh, I'm so happy to see you. She's like, I'm not, like, I'm like, you're a horrible person. Like, I don't want to, that's not what I am. And I'm like, so I remember driving, I almost drove my car into a pole. Like, I wanted to kill myself.
Way. It was that deep.
It was that deep. I hated myself. Like, and to be loved, like, growing up gay because, you're not, you can't be like everybody else. In junior high, high school, people have boyfriends, girlfriends,
Right.
They go to prom and do all this great stuff. But, when you're in the closet, like deep in the closet, you don't get to experience that stuff. And so you don't experience someone loving you.
Especially openly.
Openly.
It's a big
And
thing.
so I felt like no one loved me. And I remember just driving, and I was crying. I was just sad, just bawling. And I was like, my life is pointless. Like, it's just, no one's going to miss me. And I remember just driving and just, like I said, I've always prayed and had faith. And something just made me stop the car. I stopped the car. And the pole was probably like 5 feet away. I just stopped and just like hysterically, like, you know, those cries
Broke
where
down,
you yell,
Yeah.
and it's just like like just bawling.
But something that you feel like you needed to release.
Mm-hmm. I released it, and I just sat there crying, and eventually, I don't know how much time lapsed or later, I remember just driving home to my grandma's and just being so heartbroken. Because that was my first love, you know, first time experiencing love and sharing, you know, giving it and receiving it. So it was hard. And so for a long time, I couldn't accept who I was. And so I was in a deep depression. And so it's crazy. Like, you know, it took me a while. I mean, I was in my mid-20s when I came out. And,
wow.
and so it took about 3 years, you know.
For you to actually be open about it.
To be open. And still, I wasn't out by choice, you know. An ex decided to
Out
make
you.
it public, out me. But, it was probably the best thing. I needed it, you know. I was so afraid of losing my family. Like I said, I went away. I didn't have my family. So to tell them, I always was afraid to lose. And I think a lot of probably not, maybe some nowadays, I speak to kids, but they're afraid they're going to lose their family because of who they are. And so, you know, I was always afraid to lose my family, and that's why I wanted nobody to know. But unfortunately, it came out. And
it was for the best.
yeah, and, you know, my mom at the time had a hard time. She asked if I could get help, wanted me to go get counseling. And, you know, she says, no, you're not. You know, it's you know, you're not. You're not gay. It's a phase. Yeah, you can get help. You can change. And so they couldn't understand it, you know, and they were sad, you know, because their dreams of their children. Most people dream of their children having, you know, children having, you know, this wedding and life and, you know. And so their dreams were, and, you know,
shattered.
Busted. But even though it was sad, it was great. And my sister's like, man, I always knew. I'm like, God. Like, now you tell me, like.
You would have just told me.
Why would you just tell me? Like,
what's beautiful, though, is through that depression, you never gave up. You stayed strong and you persevered, and now look at you. Look where you are. We're in
You
No
are
Limits
greatness.
Fitness Academy, and you're known as greatness.
Yeah.
And it all came together. I want to go back to after USA Cycling. So USA Cycling, because we had asked, how did No Limits come to be? So we left off on USA Cycling.
Yeah.
So what happened after that?
So like I said, I became a spin instructor at Bally's, and then I had an opportunity to take a leadership role there and be a master presenter for their spinning program, because what I love about spinning is that, you know, most of the time it's a 45-minute ride. You put on I Love Music. You can put on music, and with your words, you can inspire people.
Ooh.
So I would program my rides. I remember I used to make these cassette tapes. And I would program the ride so when you're climbing a hill, it would crescendo, like
Ooh,
the music,
okay.
like ba 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 ba, and get you to a point of like an emotional state where you can let go of everything you are thinking about and just ride and let loose and just be. You know, and then on top of that, you tell a person, like, no matter what you're going through, like, this hill represents your life. Like, are you going to give up? Are you going to quit? Are you going to stick in, you know, stay in this moment and fight to the top? You, like, you know, you have a minute to go. And so those are the type of rides I'd love to give. They're deep. They're inspirational. And you can connect with people that way, because I believe words, as we were talking, words are powerful.
Very, very
They can
powerful.
be either uplifting or they can be destructive. And I really worked, that's when I started listening to motivational, like,
Eric Thomas
tapes, like, all that stuff. Like,
Tony
I'm
Robbins.
like, wow, like, this exists. Like, this stuff is cool. Like, I never knew, like, people like that existed. And so I found in me that I can connect with people. I have a gift for seeing potential in people, like seeing, like, I call people my athletes when in spinning. They're my athletes, because even an old lady coming in or someone young that believe they don't have potential, no, you have potential. You just don't see it yet.
So you would kind of shine light and allow them to recognize
Heck yeah.
the potential.
It was the best joy. That's why I loved coaching. You know, it's like, wow, I can take a person from here to help them believe in themselves to get them here. And that's where I found out that fitness, it saved my life. Like, soccer saved me. Running saved me. Cycling saved me. Through all my deep times, you know, the highs and lows, I would always work out, and that's what saved me. If I didn't have that, like, I don't know where I'd be.
Yeah, and it's beautiful because you essentially became a mentor for other people, and you're making leaders out of them. You're teaching them who they are.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah, at a young age, I had older coaches at Bally's, you know, that were 20 years older than me, and they kind of took me under their wing and showed me, like, how to become a spinning instructor. And I remember my first class being so nervous because I never talked to people. But I was being an introvert. I was always to myself because I didn't like myself. And so I thought other people wouldn't like me. And so I was always kind of a loner, you know. I was fun to be around, and I cracked jokes, but I was always to myself, which, you know. But yeah, it inspired something deep in me. So I got an opportunity from there for a master instructor at Bally's. I got an opportunity to be the education director at spinning headquarters, where they created indoor cycling. So I worked for Johnny G. So he was a creator of indoor cycling. He's like the godfather. And when I met that guy, man, amazing.
Your life
he
changed.
is so deep. Like, go watch. If you've done spinning, tell him to comment, because it's interesting because he shares openly he's bipolar.
Okay.
But he's very open about it, right?
Open. But when he was on the bike, the stuff, I mean, he's like gifted. Like, the stuff he'd say, he just make you think about your life, not about spinning or exercising. You were thinking about your life and where you're at, and how you can do better as a person. Wow. And I was like, wow, this guy's amazing. Like, I want to do that. I want to do what he does, because we'd go to Miami for these spin conferences. You're talking about 100 people all in one room spinning, like the music. And the thing with like hardcore spinners, like spinning, because now they have indoor cycling, it's more dancing on the bike. They would program their rides to, like, it's almost like in a movie where a certain scene has certain dramatic music. That is the ride. So you're on a flat road or sprinting. There wasn't really many words in the songs. It was just like where you had to close your eyes. You would have drum beats, or he even did like drumming circles where you would just have those drums and you're spinning and keeping the cadence. And that's why I fell in love with the cycling. I fell in love with spinning because it was very emotionally healing. Like, people would cry on the bikes because it was almost like kind of cultish.
Really?
But it was deep. It's like it was just people releasing all the crap. And I don't want to cuss. My mom says, don't cuss. She goes, I love your talks, but don't cuss. Like, no, but the shit, you know?
Lack of a better word.
Yeah. You know, because as people, you know, they go to the gym to heal.
Yes.
You know, a gym, I see the place as a place of healing. You know, not only physically. Most people think they go to the gym to get their pump on.
Mentally and emotionally as well. It's could be used as an outlet.
Absolutely.
Almost for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yes, it just I saw it as, you know, an opportunity to help someone be a better person and heal. And so when I was education director at spinning, you know, I got to see some of the top master instructors in the world, because I overseen all the master instructors in the world. So it's not just the United States, they were all over the world.
Wow.
And so it was really a great opportunity to learn. And then from there, I went to go work for Star Trek because they recruited me. They saw that I could sell bikes. So I became, I sold spinning bikes to all the studios. And I was only supposed to be there temporarily, but I kept selling so well.
So they hired you permanently?
So they hired me permanently.
That's awesome.
And because it was a good opportunity, and plus it was for more money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is cool. You know, the thing with sales is you have an opportunity to make as much as you want. It's basically your grind, how hard you're going to work. So, yeah, they offered me a full-time job. I took that. I worked for Star Trek selling fitness equipment. And that's when I start going into these nice facilities. I'm like, whoa, this is cool.
Like, I want one of those.
Yes. Yes, I'm like, I want that. And that's where the dream kind of my wheels start turning.
So how old were you, or I guess the question should be, at what point did you realize, okay, I want that, now it's time to create a plan, a business plan? And from the time that it became a thought that you wanted it to the time that it started to exist, what was that time frame? Yes, manifest.
Yeah. It actually took about 2 years because I was comfortable.
That's fast. 2 years is fast, though.
That's still
Yeah.
pretty fast. So what got you out of being comfortable, and what allowed you to take that risk?
I got laid off.
Okay, so it pushed you out, in other
It
words,
pushed me
right?
out. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, all this time I knew I should have been doing that, but I was afraid. I was so afraid because I was making good income. And I'm like, but I didn't like going to work, I hate sitting at a desk.
So in other words, the
Anytime-
8 to 5, it
Yeah.
was no.
but my bosses were so cool. I'm like, can I please go out? Can I go? Because I was in inside sales. I wasn't outside sales. I go, can I please go check on the customers and be out there? And I want to sell. Like, trust me, I'll sell. I don't have to be in here. I'll get you some deals. So they let me do they really let me do my thing as long as I sold. And I was one of the top producers for being inside sales. I was winning trips to go to like the Dominican, to Mexico for being top sales. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. I want to give up this lifestyle, And, I was making good money. I was in my 20s, making 75 plus. It was pretty good for
Oh
me.
yeah. For
So I was
20?
like,
Yeah.
so to leave and go start a business, I'm like,
It was risky.
risky. I'm like,
It was the unknown.
yeah. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, how did you face that? How did you go head on into your fear?
So again, I'm very resourceful. And what I've learned now as an adult and being an entrepreneur for now 10 plus years, when you face adversity, when you face circumstances that you feel like are out of your control, get creative
Ooh,
and
that's a
be
good one.
resourceful. That's the best thing you can do, is be resourceful. Because you can either say, oh man, feel so sorry for yourself, and you have to get resourceful. And it's in those
That's very powerful.
in those moments you'll create opportunities. And again, when I was laid off, I said to my good friend Hilda, because the smart thing I would do is, I would buy equipment, because we would sell equipment, new equipment, and these people would get rid of their old equipment, the gyms.
Ooh.
And so I'm like, and I would sell the equipment to brokers at a dirt cheap,
Yeah.
like a good piece of equipment
Yeah.
for $25, $50. And I'm like, doing the math, I'm like, this is some nice equipment. So I asked my manager, I'm like, can I buy some of that equipment? Like, here I am thinking, like, I could sell some stuff. Like, I'm so Mexican. I'm like, I'm always hustling. But nothing against Mexican, because I am Mexican, but we're hustlers.
We're
We
Mexican
are
too.
hustlers. You always seize the opportunity.
Always hustling.
So yeah, I start buying equipment, dirt cheap. And I start putting it in my garage. I'm like, dang. And then so people start coming over to our garage and training, doing personal training, spinning classes in our garage. And the neighbors are like, turn down that music.
So that's where it started.
That's where it started, in the
Your
garage.
garage.
In the garage.
And then you needed space at that point.
Yeah. And then, we couldn't fit no more people. So then I'm like, oh, let me just go find somewhere to rent. No business knowledge ever.
It was
Like,
just a thought. Let
it
me
was
just
just
go
a
find
thought. I can
somewhere
do it.
to rent.
To rent a space. So I rented a 1,600 square foot building, put all the equipment, and then I just started inviting everybody over, and it got packed. And then one day the city came down. The city came down.
No way.
Yeah. And luckily she's super cool. She's actually my really good friend now. Her name is, yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
So
yeah.
then you found a facility.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
So it was 1,600 square feet. We had some, it was personal training below, and we had like 15 spin bikes, taught spinning classes, and it did well. And so, like I said, my friend Devin Austin worked for the city, and she goes, do you have a permit? I'm like, for what? Like a business license? For what? She goes, look, I know you're really nice and you're young. I'm going to help you out. So she helped us get our business license.
No way.
She helped
That's
us.
awesome.
Yeah, she took us under her wing and told us what business, what we had to do to be legal.
Yeah, everyone out there, there's always good people that want to help. So don't be afraid to take help.
Yes, absolutely. And again, another opportunity. Good people are sent your way. Like you said, when you are operating in a space of like positivity, when you're operating in a place of gratefulness, doors of opportunity
Yes.
open.
Mountains start to move,
Yes.
opportunities, the people start coming your
Right.
way, but you just gotta be open to it.
Yeah,
But
gratitude changes the game.
Definitely
for sure.
gratitude.
Yeah.
So would you say through everything that you've gone through, how did you practice gratitude? Like, is that something that I know you stood by your faith, but were you always grateful even in times of struggle?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think I've always been a type of person when I'm struggling is to help people.
Because of your humble beginnings?
Yeah, and I was raised right to help people. I've witnessed that growing up from my parents, all my family, because my grandparents served the community. They were always involved helping, with different organizations growing up. And so I witnessed that. And my grandmother, man, beautiful soul. She helped, people all the time. And we'd have people over our house because we were helping people, So I grew up with that in me to serve people. And so in any time, even now, like I go through obstacles or difficult times in my life, and the first thing I do is serve someone else. Because when you serve someone else, when you're going through a challenging or difficult time, it makes the time feel like nothing, and you can get over those burdens.
Yeah, I'm going to quote Wayne Dyer. He says that the more you give is the more you have. And that's the greatest paradox that there is, really. Yeah. A lot of people need to be givers of life and then receive afterwards, and it does something for you. Fulfillment,
yeah. It's the greatest joy to serve somebody else, because you're not doing it to get anything in return. You're just doing it to serve.
Yeah, it's to serve. Yeah. It's to influence, to impact.
Yeah.
And it's when you have to take yourself out of the equation, that's when everything starts to come.
Yeah.
And that's when everything starts to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we got to get into the juice, because No Limits has had so many great people. Randall Pitch from Live Fit. You have bodybuilders here. You have just Gabriel Iglesias works out here sometimes. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah. So
at No Limits, did you expect this to happen? All of these just entrepreneurs and hungry people.
Yeah, like, to realize that most of them started out of here, to even be able to have their business facilitated out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you even have the UnBreakables here. No.
Yeah, right.
But like, for you, really, like, that's a big accomplishment. Like, for you to even have this how do I say it, this platform, this foundation.
Yeah.
And for you to help people on a larger scale.
Absolutely, yeah. And I just realized someone had to remind me, because I oftentimes get in the mode of like, okay, what's next? And for me, I just always pray, send the right people here, and yes, a lot of businesses have come out of this place. And, this dream of mine, I drew it on the paper, because I went from 1,600 square foot the first year. Second year, I went to 2,300 square foot.
Wow.
And that's where people start noticing my little gym. And trainers came to ask me, like, oh, can I train here? I'm like, yeah, sure. Then one of the trainers would tell their buddy, can I train here? Sure.
So it was like a ripple effect.
Yeah. So in my 2,300 square feet, I started accumulating more independent trainers, because no one wanted them to train at a facility. And I'm like, I'm all about teamwork, like helping each other, and in a competitive culture.
Of course. So
if I see you doing good, man, I want to up my game. So, and it was all the guys, like, like Lavelle, Ron, Chris. I just had these guys that were trained at my facility. And by year 3, this baby happened, because I just had a vision. I drew it out on paper, because I remember being in college, we had some great athletic facilities. I'm like, yeah, I want an athletic facility. I envisioned the turf. I envisioned the weight area, and all the people that would be in here. And then I had a boot camp. So I drew it all out. And then this building wasn't even up for grabs. When I just had that vision out. And then I was just looking around, and a real estate friend got me in touch with a real estate guy. And he was like, hey, there's this building I want you to come look at. I'm like, cool. And so he goes, the junior band used to be here. And so I remember coming in the building, walking around, and I was like, oh, cool. Then it kept going. I'm like, how big is this space? And he's like, 16,000 square feet. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And I see my vision. I'm like, oh, this is everything I envisioned, how big the space where everything would go. Because everything here is set up in, rooms.
Right.
It's not just one big lot. It's rooms, right? So I'm like, wow, I could see it. And it's crazy. I had no fear.
So what made you jump? What made you realize, like, this is it? no limits, right?
That's what you saw was your vision.
It was
You
just the
envisioned it.
vision, yeah. Because I didn't even think about how I was going to pay the rent. I just knew my plan was I'm going to take all these people, we're going to work together, and we're going to pay for that spot.
Damn.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
I didn't even know how I was going to pay the rent. But after, I signed the lease and, how much it was for, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
What'd you get yourself into?
Yeah. But then I'm like, okay, game on, let's go. Let's get resourceful. So I started hiring more trainers.
You started hustling.
Yep, got more
Right.
trainers, and they start telling. I'm like, look at the spot, guys. Can't you? And I walked them around. I
She was
brought
selling
every
it.
chair. I brought every trainer in here. I'm like, look it. You can have that office. You can have. Don't you see yourself with an office? And look at right here's a training room. I'm gonna have AstroTurf back here. No one in the city has AstroTurf yet. I'm gonna be the first to have AstroTurf. And we're gonna have like tires. It's just gonna be this awesome place. So yeah, I had to sell them, and they were sold. They came in and like, wow, like we can start our businesses together. And so that's where No Limits was created.
It was unity.
Unity.
It was
For those of
unity,
you
yes.
who haven't been to No Limits Sports and Fitness Academy, it's located in Signal Hill, California. We're off of Industrial and Redondo.
Yep.
Yes.
Really, really nice
You guys
facility.
definitely need to check it out. Aside from just weightlifting, you have boot camps, you have kettle training, you have OCR, obstacle course, racing, training, you have everything.
Everything. Yeah.
All under one roof, guys.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, meeting you through the Spartan community as
Yeah.
well. Coming to your training, man, they will kick your guys' butts. I'm not even joking. Like, they will kick your butts. So if you want a good ass kicking, come here.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
For sure. Yeah.
No,
And
that's
it's fun.
awesome.
It's like, it's like we don't have. It's not the latest and greatest. It's not like brand new everything here. Some gyms are kind of foo-foo. This is just, this is a hardcore industrial.
It's definitely hardcore, but I like it because it's more like that. It reminds me of that gritty,
Yes.
Yeah.
that old school bodybuilding.
It's got
like
character.
it's
Character,
definitely
yes.
character, and I feel like it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah.
You know?
You know how you find those little Mexican restaurants that just have
The hole in the
best
walls,
food?
right?
Yeah.
We're a hole in the wall.
A big hole in the
A
wall.
big hole in the wall, but it's
Yeah.
good food. Like you always want to go back.
That's
And
awesome,
that's
man.
the vibe here. It's good vibes.
There's a lot of love in this building.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I need to ask you, Greatness. For those of you who don't know, we call it Greatness. So what is your take on mentorship?
Oh wow.
I know we've touched base on this in the past.
Yes.
I've asked you for some advice on mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 questions. What is your take on mentorship? And what advice would you give someone, whether it's to seek a mentor or go on it on their own?
Got
What
it.
would you give?
I think everybody should have a mentor. If you're looking to be successful in life, again, through, my desire to be knowledgeable and to learn all the time, it was Darren Hardy. He was the first mentor I signed up. It was like $500, and I was stressing out like, man, I'm gonna spend $500. I don't even know if this is even any good. And I won't, they always say they'll give your money
Yeah.
back. I'm like, but I don't even know if
Money
they'll give me-
guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'll get my money back. But I learned so much in that course, and the number one takeaway from him is that if you want to be successful and you want to get there quickly, hire a mentor because they've already traveled that road.
Yes.
And damn, I was like, already in my 4th year of business, thinking like, I need someone to help me. I never went to business school. I just sold candy, man. I was just hustling. I was selling, fitness equipment. No one ever taught me about business, hence why I didn't get a business license or file the, correct paperwork in terms of with the city. So it was nice and refreshing to finally hire somebody that knew business, entrepreneurship, how to be successful. So yes, I believe everybody should have a mentor. And plus it's just to bounce stuff off.
Absolutely.
And it's also to tell you that you're being if you're being dumb at times, to smack some sense into you.
It's going to hold you
because-
accountable.
Accountable, yeah.
It is. And since we're on the topic of mentorship, a lot of people, the reason why they don't start their dreams is because of the capital. They
Correct.
don't really have the money. So to find a mentor is one thing, but to find the money is another thing.
Sure.
So for those of you that need a mentor and need capital, I want you guys to follow Think Big, Work Small. It's David Albanese. He has an amazing program. He's going to invest in you guys.
Yes.
He's investing in us, and look at this, guys. It's amazing. We wouldn't be able to do this without you, David. So
That's
again,
cool.
that's Think Big, Work Small. Follow him on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube now. He's got a new YouTube channel. It's great, guys.
That's
Anybody in the entrepreneur space, anyone seeking a mentor, that's your guy.
cool.
I mean, there's many out there, but he's good. And Noah Greatness, I think that's, a really good message out there.
Yeah.
Is definitely invest in a mentor. And it did you justice, right? And look at you now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I learned so much. And the great thing is that and that was my first. And then after that, I had struggles here, in my business because we decided to have children. And I was not prepared for that. I was prepared for one baby, and then we were blessed with two. We have twins. And
Congrats,
so this
though.
business,
They're so cute. They're
it was,
beautiful.
I wish there was a camera in that room when the ultrasound took place because I started pacing back and forth.
What am I going to do?
What am I gonna do?
We only
Like,
prepared
Double
for
the
one.
trouble.
Double, and so I didn't have my business set up on systems. Any successful business sets their business up on systems. So you don't have to, most entrepreneurs want to be in their business, but you should be working on your business, So I was in that business type of person.
So what year were you in with No Limits at that time?
Oh, so that had to be year like 4.5, 5.
4.5
almost,
years
yeah.
in already?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
And-
you just had twins.
Yeah, I had twins. Yeah, I didn't personally pop them out or have babies.
Let's
is
make that
Vanessa.
clear.
Let's
No.
make that clear. No, Vanessa. And so, but still, like, I have regrets, and this is for any new entrepreneur out there. If you're looking to start a family, get your business set up on systems, because your family's going to need you. Your partner's going to need you. And I felt like when we had kids, I was not there for Vanessa. Because I was being pulled here. I had to make money. I had to run the business.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I want to give a huge shout out to Violet. She's my right-hand lady here at No Limits. And
Violet Brown?
Shout out
Violet
Violet
Brown. She came in and saw me struggling and saying, you need to be at home with Vanessa, with the children, with our babies. Because I'd be here doing everything. And I'd get home and I figure, they're babies, they're sleeping. Vanessa doesn't need help. No, I needed to be there.
But to you, as a starting entrepreneur, this was your baby as well.
This is my baby.
So it's like you have real babies,
Yeah.
but then you have your business.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, how are you able to balance family,
You
business,
can't without
life?
systems. You
There
need
was no way.
systems in
Yeah.
a business.
And I set my business up for people to want me here. So if you're a new business person, I get hustling and working in your business. But at one point, especially in this business, because it's so hands-on, like people begin to like you so much, they always want to see you. But that ain't the case. You can't. You got to have coaches,
Yes.
So everybody wanted me here, but I couldn't be here. I was torn. And like you said, this was my baby, and it was failing fast. It was sinking. The ship was sinking. And I remember being depressed. I remember just feeling like a horrible mother and a partner, because Vanessa suffered from postpartum, and I didn't understand that. As a woman, I didn't understand. Like, I'm like, wow, this is worse than PMS. Like, this is like, she was bad. Like, and I didn't know how to support her. And so in hindsight, like, I look back and I'm like, wow, I was not there for her when she needed me, because I was not prepared. And so that's when, I almost lost the business because things were just kind of sinking. I couldn't give attention I was just depleted. When you have twins, you're not sleeping at night.
Yeah.
You're not eating. So I'd come here and I'd just be like a zombie, and my business started to tank. And so I always remember that reading, the fastest way to success is to hire a mentor. So that's when I went and Googled, who's the best mentor for fitness or gyms.
This one's gonna get big. No.
Yeah. So yeah.
Who'd you hire? Greatness.
So Bedros Keuilian.
So how did that happen?
Yeah, I Googled. I remember seeing one of his videos, and at the time, his videos, like, he had, like, shaved head. I'm like, dude, I don't know if I want to pay this guy money. He looks kind of shady. I told him that, too. I'm like, I don't know, because, so I signed up for an online mastermind. And I remember just diving into that. And I'm like, wow, this is good stuff. I like it. And then so I was invited to OC to one of his live masterminds because he wanted you to present his mastermind,
Right.
in-person mastermind. So I'm there and I'm just like all these people like in the it's his mastermind. And, I'm listening like, gosh, they have all this success. Like, how do they do it? And I share. And I'm just sitting there like, man, I'm a failure. Like, my business is like crap right now. Like, I'm not making the kind of money they're making. I'm struggling. I'm trying to survive. I have a family. Like, I may not be able to support my family, one day. So, yeah, but I met the people. It was inspiring. And he's definitely knowledgeable. And he's a great guy, great human being. And he loves to serve too. But I remember like and we've had this talk, right? And you just mentioned, money. Money is sometimes lacking, and you feel like you can't jump to get a mentor. So I remember them giving you a black envelope, and I was sitting up front, and he's like, I want to present to you guys, an opportunity to train with me hands-on and come to several masterminds a month and work hand in hand with me and my team. And, so open up the package, let me know, sign it if you're interested, and come on board and be part of our team. So I was like super stoked. Unwrapping, this beautiful black envelope. I open it up and I'm like, oh, you're thinking, I paid $500 before,
You're thinking just
like,
like
I'm thinking
500
like,
to a couple thousand.
Yeah, right? Like you made $1,000. I'm like, cool, I think I can handle that. Not even at that time I could handle that. There was no money to spare. I remember opening it up and it was over 20 grand. I don't want to tell the exact price, but it was over 20
But even
grand.
over 10,000, 15,000, that's still a lot of money.
Eyes must have I'm like, what the? And I just closed it. I was ready to get up and just walk away and just like defeat. Like I remember I felt like so little, like
Completely
helpless, like sitting there like, man, there's no way I can afford this. Like the point I'm at right now, like I just have enough money to feed my family. My business is going to go under like 20 plus for his guidance. I'm like, I can't do it. And I seen, it's so sad. I'd seen people just sign it like that and walk
Like nothing.
up. Like nothing. And I'm like, I'm watching them turn to the back of the room and I'm just sitting there like, I can't do it. I'm like, that's it. I thought about, okay, how am I going to shut this down? How am I going to tell all the trainers like we're just done? Because I'm responsible for a lot of families. And I had about, a good amount of trainers. But, yeah, I was just defeated. And I remember saying, all right, just wait till everybody leaves so you can get up and leave without asking questions,
Yeah.
So I just sat there, and I remember being one of the few left in the room, and something came over me, just like, just do it. You don't have to put no. You don't
20
have,
plus.
Yeah, right. You could put your credit card there, and it'll be declined. It will be declined. They'll call you, And they said you didn't have to pay till the first mastermind, which was a few months away, but you would still be put into the group. So I'm thinking, okay, at least I'd get that info, and my card will decline. So, yeah, I remember, like, just like hesitating to sign it, and I thought, man, maybe I need to discuss this with Vanessa, my partner, and
You didn't.
I said, oh, hell no. She'll slap me, like, knock some sense into me, like, what are you thinking? Like, we have no money. How are you going to sign up? So I didn't even call her or tell her for like 2 months later. Because she would have killed me. But that's the thing, like, I jumped.
And you did it. You went all in.
I signed it. I turned it in. And I walked out of that room, like, feeling like, man, I just did that. Like, oh, crap. You have a moment like, oh, no, I feel good. I did it. And then I feel like, oh, crap.
You're like, what did I do?
What'd I do? But you know what? I'll always gamble on myself. Because you know what? I'll find a way. I get resourceful. I'll find a way.
That's true faith right there.
Yeah.
And with faith, you can never fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just self-belief.
So true.
Alisha, we just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
From everything from your humble beginnings
Yes.
to finding your passion in soccer, for your passion in serving people, because serving is so huge and you don't hear enough of
Yeah.
it. You don't. To your love for business and just overall your story, it's so empowering. And what you've done for us, Alisha, I mean, No Limits is really, this is a dream come true for the
It really
Unbreakables,
is.
and it couldn't have happened without you.
Oh, thank
Not
you.
at all.
It really couldn't.
Thank you.
So before we end things, I just want to ask, what's next for you?
What's next? Great question. Because I feel like it's almost like every season, every year I get older, I'm 45 now, you get a little bit wiser. And for me, it's continue to serve, but on a greater platform.
Oof.
I keep envisioning, like I see myself like, as my grandma told me, you're going to talk to the masses. And I believe that. I don't know where, I don't know when, but I have that faith. And I'll continue to help people. You know, like you said, there's been so many people that have come through this door, and I'll continue to do that. And to, like you guys, you know, give you guys an opportunity because someone gave me opportunity multiple times in my life.
Yes, yes.
And so that I will always repay that and, you know, help people. And there will be more people that come here and start businesses. But yeah, for me, it's more mentoring now, coaching, and speaking. I love to speak. I just, that's why greatness, you know, that's where it came from. Like I tell people to be your greatness and strive for that every day. And you may be diverted. You may hit roadblocks. You may fail. You may think you're just a horrible person at times, but you are greatness. You were designed to do great things in your life. You have gifts and talents, and use them. Don't waste them.
Absolutely.
Do not waste
Powerful,
them
yes.
because that's not fair. You're not fair to the people that love you. And for me, my why is my mom. My parents gave me up to make something of myself. And now that I have children, it's
You
even
can't
greater.
let it go.
Mm-mm.
And it's like gift. I know you mentioned that the quote earlier, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And I think for everyone on this earth was placed here for a reason, for a purpose.
Absolutely.
Trent Shelton says it best. You are purpose.
Yeah.
Everybody is purpose. It's just being able to discover your why and your purpose is just go after it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Alicia, where can the people find you on social media?
So you just go to NoLimitsSportsAndFitness.com or No Limits Sports and Fitness on social media or Coach Alisha. Yeah, that's where it's at. Yeah.
That's
And you can
awesome.
follow myself at Instagram at Gift the Poet. Follow us on the Unbreakables Podcast. On Instagram, we're on LinkedIn now, Facebook at the Unbreakables Podcast, Gift the Poet, and Jay Mergs.
And if any of this message resonated with any of you guys, like it, share it, comment below. Let us know what you thought about this episode. If you guys want to get in contact with Alisha, feel free to contact her via IG, Facebook, email. Check out her gym at No Limits Training Facility here in Signal Hill. I'm telling you, if you want to get a workout, some mentorship, she does some of that on the side as well. Like I said, comment, like it, share it, and you guys live your true purpose.
Again, think big, work small. It's a mentorship program, guys, and he's going to invest in you guys. If money's an issue, it's no longer an issue. If mentorship, you can't find it, that's no longer an issue, guys. Think big, work small.
Invest in a mentor,
Yes.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am unbreakable. Unbreakable.